In today's show, the Blazers take care of business and beat a bad Wizards team, and we get an extended look at Portland's future depth. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same as Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we'll talk about the Blazers' win over the Wizards. The Wizards are bad. The Blazers took care of business 112-97 in a game that wasn't quite that close. It was a game that offered us a chance, a longer look at the Blazers' future depth. And I want to talk about Kris Murray and Matisse Thybulle and their place in the bigger picture as the Blazers move forward, or at least time moves forward and the Blazers build to whatever is next. And then we'll close the show talking about the Blazers' play in chase. The Blazers did what they do. They take care of business. When they have played bad teams, they've handled the business they need to handle. They didn't walk over the Raptors on Sunday, but they won the game in the end, and that's what they've done. When they've played bad teams, they've beaten them. The Wizards are a bad team. The Blazers have beat them easily on Monday, but their next stretch of games coming against quality teams, coming against good playoff caliber opponents, teams that are going to host playoff series when this thing starts, when the postseason begins in earnest. This will be the test. If the Blazers are going to make the play-in or have a legitimate chance to do so, the final 4 games of Portland's homestand will determine it, most likely. We'll get into that to close the show, and we'll talk Matisse, we'll talk Kris, and we'll talk the game. Let's do that first. Let's do what we do. Fast recap in the West. Blazers win this game 112-97. It wasn't that close. It wasn't. Blazers led 31-24 after one. Wizards had an early 8-point lead, and then they didn't, and then they never got back, and the Blazers handled them. Up 7 at the break, up 7 after one, up 10 at the break, blew the game open in the third quarter, led by 19 entering the fourth, and cruised, led by as many as 24 in the game. Blazers won the first 3 quarters handily by 19, 31-28, and 30 points for the Blazers to get you at 89. They were on pace for, like an easy $120 if they had kept playing everybody, but they didn't, and they, credit to Chauncey Billups. He knew this team was on the second night of a back-to-back. Obviously, it's a slightly different back-to-back because you play a matinee into an evening game. So it's not one of those games where like tip-off is 22 hours after the game ends or something like that. But it is a game the next day, regardless. And it's obviously not a travel game. This game was moved up. The Blazers were supposed to have a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, but because of fires in LA, the Wizards had some games moved around, and this game was moved from Tuesday to Monday. So it was a back-to-back following a Sunday matinee. I think that's probably better than a Tuesday Wednesday matinee, but like still second game of a back-to-back, and the Blazers handled business. And Chauncey Billups, once his team built a big lead in the fourth quarter and he put his starters on the bench, said, "You gentlemen in the game are going to handle it." And so when the Wizards closed to an 11-point, cut a 24-point lead to 11 with 2:16 left, and Bryce McGowens was on the court, Chauncey Billups didn't flinch. You gentlemen can close this out. The final 136 seconds, up 11. You need to take care of business, and the Blazers absolutely did. Kris Murray gets a steal. They get a bucket on the break, and they seal the game, and the Blazers win 112-97. There's not a ton to say about this one. The Wizards are bad. The Blazers continue to take care of business against bad teams. They have not lost to a team with a below 500 record on day of the game since January 19th. They are undefeated against the bad teams since in the second half of the season. Since game 42 and on, when they play a bad team, they take care of business. I think the Blazers they sleptwalk a little bit early against the Raptors, right? They played so poorly in that first quarter, just not sharp. They didn't play sharp at all. There wasn't just like the purpose and execution that you need to take care of a team that you're a little bit better than. the Wizards are not as talented. The Wizards are the worst team in the NBA, and they look like it. The Wizards aren't as talented as the Raptors, but the Blazers, once they seized that lead, particularly in the third quarter, once they blew the game open, it's like, yeah, we're done. We're done here. You will not be coming back. You will not be making this competitive. Nothing about what you're about to do is gonna threaten us. Like, the Blazers took care of business. It's what they've done. They're better than the bad teams. I've said a bunch in this podcast, and I still mean it. They're better than the bad teams. Anthony Simon scored 30 points in 23 minutes. 5 of 11 from 3, 10 of 17 overall from the floor. He had freaking a classic, a kind of a hilarious Anthony Simons game. 30 points, a rebound, and 2 assists to go with a turnover. I can score easy, made shots, made it look easy, took care of business. Blazers playing this game without Toumani Camara, who was out of the game with what the team is calling right calf soreness. Obviously, Toumani played on Sunday, but calf injury is nothing you want to mess with. In the second night of a back-to-back, nothing you want to mess with. He doesn't play. Jeremy Grant doesn't play in this game. Obviously, no DeAndre Ayton, still out. Rob Williams is not available. But you do get Kris Murray in the starting lineup, who played a ton, nearly 37 minutes, 36:51, according to the official box score. Matisse Thybulle, I think it's important that he played his debut Sunday. He only played 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes on Sunday, but he came back and played 28 on Monday. Went out and played NBA basketball on back-to-back days, albeit limited minutes in the first game, but played 22 minutes in this one. I think I said 28. He played 22 minutes in this one. Got out there and ran around. He's now up to 28 minutes in total is where my confusion is. In any case, like the Blazers with their... this is some of the Blazers against most of the Blazers against most of the Warriors, and the Blazers handle them. Like I said, up by 24. Wizards kind of flirted with getting close. Wizards didn't, they didn't play their vets. Jordan Poole played under 11 minutes. Chris Middleton, who's been helpful for the Warriors, helpful for the Wizards, has been played, under 11 minutes. They both played 10.5 minutes in this game. The Wizards played their bench. Even at the end of the game trying to come back, the Wizards played their bench because their starters just kind of, generally speaking, didn't have it, although I think Alex Sarr was fine. The takeaway from this game is that the Blazers do what they do. They're better than the bad teams. But I think for me, the other takeaway from this game, and I think the meaningful takeaway from this game, from my perspective, is that we got an extended look at Kris Murray and Matisse Thybulle. I think we kind of know what the Blazers' forward rotation is of the future. Toumani Camara and Deni Avdija are it. How Jeremy Grant fits into the mix remains relatively confusing, but I think the versatility, the defensive versatility particularly, of Toumani and Deni allows them to either of them functionally play 2 guard on defense, and then you kind of figure it out on the offensive end. And Jeremy Grant might be here a while, so strap in. But watching this game, what I was struck by was the Blazers, they're going to probably make some trades. I probably shouldn't use an S on that word. They're going to probably make some trade this offseason, and they'll probably, they'll make a draft pick. I think they're pretty unlikely to have a second-round pick based on the protections of the pick that's owed to them, but they'll have a first-round pick, and whether they use it or trade it, we'll see what happens. But, the roster will change a little bit. I bet it'll look largely the same just based on how they do business, but it'll change a little bit. And part of it changing and developing and growing is letting some of the parts that are on the team fill into the depth, because you know what the starters are going to look like, Deni and Toumani. But what does the depth look like? And I think today's game with Kris and with Matisse give you a sense of kind of what that might look like. Let's talk about Kris. Let's talk about Matisse Thybulle and how they fit into the bigger picture in that second segment. Join me there, won't you? First, I want to tell you about Hungry Roots. Listen, eating healthy and finding time to go grocery shopping and meal planning and eat healthy can take a lot out of your day. You already work. You already got the rest of your life. You've already got goals you're trying to meet, and it could stress you out. You go to the grocery store, you buy some things you don't need, then you don't even have time to cook. And sticking with your health goals, that can be a struggle too. But Everything can change if you go and check out Hungry Root. It's a game changer. It's an easy way to eat healthy without all the stress. It's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of your grocery shopping, recommending meals and groceries based on your tastes and health goals, from anti-inflammatory to high protein and gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. I'm talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great, all delivered straight to your door. It's been a huge time saver, or can be a huge time saver, and can make healthy eating so much simpler. You're going to love Hungry Root. So for a limited time, go get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/lockedonnba and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's hungryroot.com/lockedonnba, and the code is LOCKEDONNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/lockedonnba, and the code is LOCKEDONNBA. Don't miss out. Today's show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. It's a great way to track your individual expenses. So like how often, how much money are you spending on groceries? How much money are you spending eating out each month? You can budget smarter and save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, Monarch Money allows you to check your finances, track your spending, your mortgage, your savings account, your paychecks, all of those things, you know, your savings account, your checking account, all in one spot. It's even got long-term financial goals to help you plan for how you want to save and then spend that money you save, so you can, enjoy tracking your own finances. It gets your personal accounts, it sets goals, and helps you stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. And the code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. All right. So I think today's game, you're listening to Tuesday, March 18th show. I'm recording this on the day of the game, Monday evening. What struck me in today's game, I'm going with today. I can't avoid it. We're talking about today. The game happened at night in any case. What struck me in tonight's game, last night's game, was that we got an extended look at Kris Murray. We got an extended look at Matisse Thybulle. And I think we kind of know the Blazers starters moving forward, but the question is, as they build this roster out, things are going to change. But every team needs depth, right? Every team needs depth. You need a fourth forward that figures it out. You need the first guy off the bench that kind of adds a dynamic that you don't have. And I am struck by Murray and Thybulle as two interesting options. Let's start with Murray. I will say this, and I want to be totally upfront about this. I am probably more Kris Murray skeptical than many within the Blazers market. I am. I have nothing against him. I'm just having trouble seeing where the details come in of him being a high-level NBA player. He does a lot of stuff well. He's a smart basketball player. He is physical on defense. You can't punk Kris Murray. He does not get punked. He doesn't get pushed around. He doesn't get bullied on defense. If he will get in the way and draw charges. He will get in the way and play physical defense. He'll cut off drives. He doesn't get punked on that end. And he knows where to be. He's a very smart help defender. He's really good at sort of cracking back and getting defensive rebounds as an anticipatory player. He reads passing lanes really well, so he'll just step into the passing lane. I mean, in this game, he had 4 steals. He just, and this game was maybe it's the Wizards, but even without the numbers, right? Even without the steal, filling up the stat sheet, Kris Murray is good anticipating passes. He's good at being in the passing lane. Even if he doesn't get steals, you'll see him in games sometimes like step in early when the Blazers are pressing and a guy will commit a travel, or he'll have to, get rid of the ball quickly because Murray has just like stepped up into his airspace and anticipated where he's going to go. He's a very smart, high IQ defender. He's a physical defender. He's the right size to be versatile and play across a bunch of positions. The reason that Chauncey Billups trusts Murray and plays him is because Murray is a player who knows how to play basketball. My worry with him is on the other end. What does he do on offense? Played 36 minutes in this game, 2 of 8 from the floor. Didn't make any of his threes, airballed one of them, and passed up another. He should have shot from the left corner. He took a dribble, like a rhythm dribble to take it, and then kicked it back out to the top of the key. Shoot the ball. Even if you miss, shoot the ball. Not too many record scratches to steal a term in the NBA anymore. That was a record scratch. The ball swings to you in the corner and you're like an off-ball forward in the NBA. You have to shoot it. That's how this works. Or you have to attack quickly. Like you can't take a rhythm dribble and say, just kidding. That's just like, you're not helping anyone. We didn't help anyone there. But Murray's 2 field goals in this game, one on the left wing, one on the right wing, catch, drive a closeout, get all the way to the rim and dunk with 2 hands. The first one caught it, drove, and dunked like through a late rotating Alex Sarr. You're late. You're not blocking this shot. You're getting dunked on by Kris Murray. Hello. And the second one, Sarr closed out. Murray kind of, raised the eyebrows, got Sarr off his feet and drove. And Sarr's trying to track him down like, I'm going to swat this from behind. I'm going to catch up with you. No, you're not. Kris Murray dunks easily from the right wing on the drive. Always dunks with 2 hands. There is nothing more classically Kris Murray than a 2-hand safety dunk. Not a lot of style, but a lot of function in that, right? I'm not gonna miss. But those are his 2 field goals in this game. He played 37 minutes, and it's like, 2 first half dunks. In thinking about this and doing a little research for Kris Murray, I came across a number that I find startling. Kris Murray is shooting 41% from the free throw line this season. 18 of 44. Oh my goodness. 41% from the free throw line. Oh no. He's not a very good shooter. Has not been a good shooter in the NBA. A career 26.4% three-point shooter coming into the night. On the season shooting 25.6% worse in year 1 than worse in year 2 than he was in year 1. He was over 3 tonight. I don't have the numbers for you, but he makes about a quarter of them. If he had taken a 4th one, probably would have gone in. That's what the math says. I think it is easy to say that if Murray makes threes, becomes a 3-point shooter, then he's an NBA player, and I think that's true. He'll be 25 in his 3rd NBA season next year. There's no reason the Blazers need to give up on him. There's no reason they need to punt on him. They should keep him for next year and year 4. They should keep him throughout his rookie contract to see what he can become, because he does enough positive stuff that if he could fix his glaring weaknesses, he's an NBA player in a hurry. The problem is the shooting. Murray can defend. He can defend in multiple positions. He's a pretty good rebounder. He's not a high-level passer in terms of like skill passing, but he's smart. He makes smart passes. He's not this like elite athlete. He's not like explosive and elite athlete, but at his size, he moves pretty well. Like for me, how does Kris Murray fit into the bigger picture? He is a player that you give the following to, the reason you draft a guy in the first round is to kind of buy yourself 4 years of figuring out whether he can fit. And then he enters restricted free agency and you can figure out whether he's part of the long-term future. Murray comes back in year 3, comes back in year 4. You just keep him moving with him and figure out what he is, right? But how he scores on offense is the thing he has to solve. He's good enough at other stuff that if he solves that, he's there, but it's a big thing to solve. It's not a small thing. 25% three-point shooter is not a small thing. Got to get confidence there. Got to get a little more accuracy there. I guess you got to make free throws at some point. My goodness. I don't think Murray is I think Murray is a player that is worth seeing what he becomes, but I think naturally you got to know that he's 25 and he's not going to take a massive, unlikely, I shouldn't say not, unlikely to take a massive leap. Matisse Thybulle, where does he fit into the equation? Man, it's hard to know. He's not good at the stuff he's not good at, and he is awesome at the stuff he's good at. Matisse Thybulle's played 28 minutes across 2 games, a little over 28 minutes. He played 22 in his second game, 22 minutes and 5 seconds. Played a little over 6 minutes in the first game. He's played 28 minutes and 18 seconds. His per 36 numbers in 2 games, 8.9 steals, 2.5 blocks. If you're scoring at home, that is 11.4 stocks per 36 in his return. As soon as that dude steps on the floor, he starts stealing passes and block shots. He has 2 blocks in 2 games, both of them blocking 3-pointers. A unique, weird player. Blocked, game-saving block on Orlando Robinson, a block on Jordan Poole 3-pointer in the first half that everybody was laughing, including the Wizards. Ben's like, damn, he blocked it? Tough. He's everywhere in the passing lanes. He had 5 steals. Murray had 4. Matisse Thybulle had 5. Like, those dudes were everywhere on defense. Matisse is not a great 3-point shooter. He is, for his career, he's a slightly below average 3-point shooter. He had a time last year with the beginning of the season when he was awesome, and then he really cooled off in the second half of the season. And, this year he didn't attempt a shot in his first 6-minute shift. On Sunday, he was finished 4 of 9 from the floor, but just 1 of 5 from 3. The 3-point shooting is the swing skill for him. I've heard Matisse Thybulle say as much, and he knows it. When you're an off-ball wing in the NBA, if you're not someone who's going to dribble into your own offense, which many that is not given, that opportunity is not given to everyone, you have to shoot. You have to be able to shoot. You don't need to be like elite knockdown shooter. Certainly that helps, but you have to be able to shoot something, 35+%. Matisse Thybulle's flirted with 35+% for most of his career. He's often been below it. He's sometimes been above it, but that's like he's a slightly below average 3-point shooter for his career. If Matisse Thybulle shot 37% from 3, he'd play every single night for every single team in the league. He doesn't. So what his gifts are this really strange, really special off-ball defender. So if Kris Murray fits into the picture by like, hey, you just keep him on the roster for the following 2 seasons and figure out what he can become and hope that his weaknesses get just a little less weak and he continues to be good at what he's good at. For Thybulle, it's like you kind of know what he is. And so he's this situational, interesting defender. I would love to see a Toumani Camara, Matisse Thybulle, Denny Avdia 3-man grouping with whatever point guard, but say it's Scoot, still better on defense, although you're really light on shooting there. I'd love to see this sort of just wreak havoc with the Blazers' best defensive players. Put Rob Williams or Donovan Clingan, whoever at center, and just like go nuts on like just go nuts on just like absolutely high pressure on the wings, filtering everybody into a shot blocker at the rim. Like, I want to see it. I want to see it. I don't think Thybulle ever profiles as a starter in the league just because of his weaknesses on offense, but I think he's interesting enough on defense that the Blazers, he's under contract for next season. Depending on what moves you make this summer, he's absolutely someone who you want to be like, yeah, he could be our 4th wing, and on some nights he's going to play a ton because he's just so special and so unique on defense. He's probably never going to get there on defense, or on offense, And I feel like Kris Murray, maybe look at Matisse as the model. The reason that dude's going to stick in the league and play 10 years in the NBA is because he's so special on defense and his offense is good enough to let him stick around. And that's got to be the model for Kris. He's pretty good on defense. Find how to get there. I don't think the Blazers have to make a decision on either of these guys. I think you just kind of bring them back as depth pieces. But in the bigger picture, you probably choose one. And right now, Matisse obviously has a big lead. I think I'm talking about this in March. There's a lot of steps between now and the future. Obviously, you could very easily choose both, and I anticipate that the Blazers will end up choosing both, at least for next season. It's not an either or in the immediate or medium term, but I think in the long term, you're kind of figuring out which useful defensive wing do we want to have be our depth piece, and I think the Blazers have a couple to choose from, albeit different stages of their career, and Thybulle's obviously like a way different, higher level defensive player than Murray is right now, although Murray's bigger and different physically as a player. He's more 3-4 as opposed to Thybulle, who's more 2-3. Portland won a couple games in a row. They are right there in the play-in picture if you believe, and part of believing is they got to beat good teams. Let's talk about that to close the show. Do you believe? believe. And if you do, they're going to give you reason to as they close out this homestand with 4 tough ones. Join me in that third segment, won't you? First, though, let's talk about it. It's PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made easy. PrizePicks is super simple. What you do is you pick at least 2 players on a ballot, and you just pick more or less on the stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's easy to use. It's available in over 30 states, and it lets you mix and match projections across different sports so you don't have to just play the NBA, even if you want to, because it's basketball season. We're heading down the stretch run, and PrizePicks is a fun way to get in on the action and the best place for daily fantasy sports. It's quick and easy. PrizePicks makes it simple. You can set your lineup in less than 60 seconds. When you win, that money can hit your bank account in as little as 15 minutes, so there's no waiting around. Plus, you listen to Tuesday's program, they give you deals each week, like Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks discounts select players' projections up to 25%, giving you even more value on your lineups. So download the app today and use that code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off instantly after you play. Get $50 instantly, not off. You can get $50 in your bank account, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win. You just have to play the lineup and they'll give you $50. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Portland is taking care of business. When they play bad teams, they beat them. The problem is they haven't beat a good team in a minute. It has been a little while. The Blazers, the last 10 games against teams above 500, winless, 0-10, while they have taken care of business. 11-0 against teams below 500 is what they do. When they're better than the bad teams. The quest for them is to be better than the good teams. Obviously, they've played some games close. They came back against Boston when they were down big, but they went to overtime against Cleveland. They went to overtime against the Knicks. It's not like they've played terribly against these games against good teams. They just haven't won. In fact, I think they've had some impressive performances against good teams, but we're talking the final outcome because that's how the standings work. And if the Blazers are going to make the play-in, you got to win the games. You can't. You do not actually qualify via vibes. The Blazers' vibes infinitely better than Phoenix and Dallas. The problem is Phoenix and Dallas, they got more wins. If Portland could just cash in their positive vibes, Dallas would be way the hell up out of here, and Phoenix would have left a long time ago. 2 of the worst vibe teams in the entire league ahead of the Blazers in the standings. Before we get to catching them, before we get to what Dallas is doing to maintain their edge, it's been a minute. Like I said, the Blazers have not beat a team with a winning record since they beat the Pacers on February 4th. Right after that, on February 6th, they beat the 500 Kings. So if you want to say a team 500 or better, February 6th. You want to say a team better than 500, the Pacers, February 4th. It's been a minute. It's been a long time since they beat a team with a winning record. Again, 10 straight losses against teams above 500. It is what it is. They just haven't. They've taken care of business against bad teams. They have failed to do so against the good ones. And the Blazers are going to close out this homestand against teams and let them prove it. If Portland's going to climb in the playoff chase, they're going to do it by beating good teams in the friendly confines of the Moda Center. Memphis on Wednesday, Friday against the Denver Nuggets, Sunday afternoon against Boston. They close out the homestand against Cleveland. Memphis, Denver, Boston, Cleveland. You split those, you're all right. You win 3 out of 4, you're fantastic. You go 0-4, troublesome. You go 1-3, probably fine. Because the Phoenix sucks. But with all due respect, let me get that clear. Phoenix sucks. Blazers obviously worse than the Suns, pot kettle, but it's the most expensive roster in the league. Blazers are supposed to be one of the 5 worst teams in the league. One of those teams overachieved, having a season that you can feel good about. The other team, an absolute mess that you should make fun of relentlessly. Go Suns. If the Blazers are going to do it, they're going to do it without faking the funk. You go out and beat good teams. You go out and beat good teams in your building. Blazers have been much better at home. You go out and beat good teams in your building, you will have earned it, right? This time of year is weird. March and April is weird in the NBA because some teams don't need to win, or they need to win, but rest can be more valuable. So I always poo-poo the strength of schedule in March and April. You might play a good team that rests everybody. I don't care about strength of schedule. I care about injury availability on the day of the game. Don't tell me who has a winning record that you play 6 days from now. Tell me who's available on game night. So I don't want to project too far on what Denver and Boston and Cleveland are going to look like. Memphis did not have Ja Morant most recently in their last game. We'll see his availability on Wednesday. Regardless, these are good teams. And I think when the Blazers lost to the OKC's deep bench, really good teams have depth. When they lost to the Jason Tatumless Celtics, you saw what depth looks like, and no Drew Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis. You saw what depth looks like on these really good teams. You're not going to be able to fake the funk. And Portland's chasing teams ahead of them. As of Monday evening, the Mavs are 33-36. The Suns are 31-37, and the Blazers are 30-39 now after beating the Wizards. A season ago, the 10th place team in the West had 46 wins. And the Rockets finished 41-41 and 11th out of the play-in. Pretty good chance that this year a team with a losing record finishes 10th in the final play-in spot, and there's a decent chance that a team with a losing record finishes 9th in the West. It's a totally different bird. It is the dominance of the West has kind of flown the coop a little bit. It's at the top of the standings. It's not all the way through to the 10 and 11 like it was a season ago. The Suns and Mavericks aren't very good. The Mavericks are going to get a little bit better. You can go listen to Locked on Mavs. They're pretty disappointed in this, but it is indeed happening. Sounds like Anthony Davis is going to come back. He has been assigned to the Mavs G League team, the Texas Legends, in beautiful Frisco, if you want to head up there. I got some family in the North Dallas area. Y'all want to go to a Legends game, check out Anthony Davis. I bet it'll be expensive G League ticket relative to other prices. But Anthony Davis sounds like he's going to come back. It sounds like the Mavs are going to bring Anthony Davis back, and they're going to try to make the play-in. I don't get it. I will say that Nick and Isaac, when I listen to Locked On Mavs, they don't get it either. Go check it out. They do a great job on the program. Two absolute legends in the game. But the Mavs seem like they're not going to pull the plug, which seems like they might pull the plug. It was reported by Mark Stein that's kind of like AD wants to play, and the Mavs are kind of going to have to tell him that he can't. Obviously, the NBA is sort of cracking down on AD types missing games on purpose. They kind of were investigating the Sixers, and now Paul George is out for the season. It's like, come on now. But I think with Davis's injury, you could say yeah, he's just not ready. You're just not ready. Obviously, the burden of proof is on the team to some extent, but I don't think it would be that surprising if Davis was done for the year, but it sounds like he's not. So the Mavs, who are 3 up in the loss column from the Blazers, might be getting an all-NBA big man back in the lineup. That would really change things, make it really hard for the Blazers to catch the Mavericks. The Suns are just bad. They're just a bad basketball team. They're 2 up in the loss column, but I'm not worried about Phoenix. If the Blazers earn it and they beat some good teams down the stretch here, the Suns will flop. If the Blazers can't beat good teams, then the Suns might not get out of the way, but the Suns are going to flop regardless. That's a bad basketball team. I'm not worried about them. But the Mavs back with Anthony Davis is a totally different thing, and that is probably too hard for the Blazers to catch. Portland would have to be really good, something like 9-4 in these final games. Something akin to that in their final 13, 9-4. That's going to mean beating some good teams. If they make the play-in, if they finish 10th and they play a postseason game, it would be on the road with the right to play another postseason game on the road. And if you win both of those, you make the playoffs. They'll do it because they didn't fake the funk. They'll do it because they're good. They will not. This will not be a thing that they backed into. There's no backing into it. It's Memphis, Denver, Boston, and Cleveland. They'll just prove it over the next week. And I'll be right here to watch them prove it. Come join me 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.